I'm white and Native American. My daughter's dad is Puerto Rican and Native American. My hair is straight and blonde, and my ex's is black, coarse and frizzy and poofy. My daughter has a mixture of both of our hair. When it's longer, it becomes straighter and easier to style. When it's short, it's nearly impossible even to brush through, let alone style. I've always had long hair, but her dad and her grandmother think long hair is ugly. I mean, there was even a time back years ago when my ex's mom insisted on cutting off my dead ends, and she told me she wouldn't cut it short. It was down to my butt, and she literally chopped it right below my shoulders and said, "Oh, that's so much better," and got angry at me for saying I hated it and would never let her touch my hair again. Needless to say, my ex and I broke up shortly after. For years, my daughter would go to visits and come home with her hair chopped off. If I made any comments about it, I was met with a, "She's my darn kid too. You aren't the boss. What happens in my house is none of your business. You don't make the darn rules." But 2 years ago, my daughter started telling them that she wanted to grow her hair out because she couldn't style her short hair without my help. And we were both getting angry and short-fused over having to wake up 1 to 2 hours earlier every morning just to brush through her hair and style it to a point where she didn't feel insecure at school. During that time, they respected her wishes and didn't touch her hair. But a month ago, her grandmother and dad started complaining about her hair again. I told them not to touch her hair without her permission because I have a newborn at home now, and I can't take 1 to 2 hours every morning to style her hair anymore. Well, they convinced my daughter to chop her hair off this past weekend, and sure enough, my daughter's in my room at 5:30 a.m. asking me to help her with her hair while I'm nursing my newborn. I told her no. I had just started feeding the baby. She immediately flipped out. She said, "My grandmother said you should be taking time to do my hair and that you have 2 kids, not 1. I texted the grandmother and asked what the heck she said to my kid. And she said, "As a mom, you need to prioritize both kids, not just the baby. Do your daughter's darn hair." I didn't do my kid's hair. She's blaming me for feeling insecure at school now. Edit. She has been to stylists. They've thinned her hair, used special products that I spent hundreds on that they promised me would work, and it's just impossible. I've also taken them to court, and the judge basically laughed in my face. He said that I was wildly mistaken if I thought an issue over hair. That wasn't the only reason I brought him to court, was grounds to get anyone to court. Not the idiot. Wow, that's an awful judge. The issue is her mental anguish over her hair, not just a style you didn't prefer. Maybe hire an attorney this time to argue your position. Not to mention grandma, and possibly dad too, are manipulating this kid into getting her hair cut. Go to court over this issue again. Otherwise, you'll have to revisit it continually. Your ex and his mother are the ones creating the mental anguish over her hair. They should be the ones to deal with the situation financially and be forced to stop cutting her hair. For God's sake, she's a tween. Why haven't you learned how to do a protective style to her hair so that it doesn't need doing every day? You all suck. I really wish my mom would have learned about my hair type instead of me wasting hours a day managing it because she thought my hair should be straight like hers. I spent my teens getting my hair thinned and would not leave the house unless I took 2 hours, splitting it into sections and flat ironing it. There needs to be a resolution to this ongoing hair dispute. She's growing up, and she needs to learn how to do things for herself. It may be a hard lesson, but she better learn it now. This may also be a good time for a talk with her about not giving in to pressure from anyone else about how she wants to look. Your family members only think you're the mom when it's time to do the work. Start calling them at 5 a.m. and tell them it's time to come and deal with this hairstyle they chose for your daughter. Grandma needs to screw right off with that bit about you having 2 kids and not 1. She and your ex knew precisely what they were doing. I, a nearly adult female, have a sister, Rebecca, 29, who has 3 kids. Lori, pre-tween female, Cammie, pre-tween female, and Trey, pre-tween male. I babysit them, and they're really good kids. I like to bring over toys when I babysit. All their favorite are dolls. We also like watching shows and movies from doll brands. Rebecca's a vlogger with the whole beige aesthetic. It isn't my style, but it's not my business either. Now that I have a job and get paid for babysitting, plus a store discount for what I buy there, it's my first year I can buy people gifts on my own for Christmas. Most of it I got months ago. I got each of Rebecca's kids 2 dolls and something extra. There isn't anything wrong with them. All of these are child-friendly. When Rebecca heard I got them gifts, she wanted to see them. I showed her, and she said that I should have known them. She used the word us, better than that, and not gotten those things. She told me to return them. I can't return most of them due to how and when I got them, and get something else that before buying I approved with her. I got mad and asked what was wrong with what I got, and she called them disgusting and said they don't fit in with anything. I told her that she might not be into those things, but they aren't for her. So her preferences aren't a factor, and her kids deserve happiness. She got mad and said that they were happy and stormed out. Our mom was siding with Rebecca and told me that if I really didn't want to buy something else, I could just sign on with her gifts. I really didn't want to. I got them gifts they deserve, and I don't understand why I shouldn't just give them to them. But I could be wrong. No one is agreeing with me. Not the idiot. She's going to have a hard time because her kids will want to play with those gifts more than their other toys, which will bug her to no end. The point of having a child is to make them happy, not to have them as accessories in the background of your Insta life. It sounds like much of the family is a bunch of Grinches. Do the kids literally get stockings filled with coal? The kids don't get coal. It's not beige enough. Wood. They get shavings of wood. Here, Timmy. It's the wood shavings from the toys the elves made for all the other children. Just wait till they hit their teens and refuse to dress in beige, neutral, aesthetically pleasing to her and her followers. So these sad beige mom kids aren't allowed, especially at their ages, to choose the style and toys they like? Not even just hidden away in their own bedrooms? I get how having your personal style can affect what you buy for your kids, especially when they're tiny. You want your baby to look cute, not like a clown. But when they grow, they get their own sense of what they like, what they want to wear and play with, etc. And that should be respected. Going as far as to put a color code for presents is just insanity. That's why kids have their room where they can keep all the mismatched things. I, 28 female, have twin kindergarten boys, Jude and Jonah. They go to a private Jewish kindergarten where it's customary to invite the whole class to birthday parties. It might even be a school rule, but I don't think I'll take this to the school. Jude and Jonah are very well-mannered and reserved. Obviously, I'm biased, but they've always gotten along well with all their peers and have never gotten into any drama. Jude is definitely a slow reader, and we've gotten him a tutor, but it's still been tough for him. At our synagogue, the bathroom signs just say men and women, with no little picture. They're single bathrooms. 2 weeks ago, Jude walked into the women's by accident, and I guess the door wasn't locked correctly because he walked in on this woman named Jess, who's the mother of a little girl in his class. He says he just saw her in the toilet, ran out, closed the door, and said he was sorry. Jude immediately came up to me and told me, and he was very embarrassed. I told him it wasn't a big deal, and he should just remember to knock the next time, and that the longer word says women. He said he would, and thought it was a stalled bathroom, like most public bathrooms, and that's fair, so I left it there. Jess came up to talk to me afterward and told me that he needed to be punished. She said it was extremely inappropriate. I assured her he didn't know and wouldn't do it again, but she said that there's no way he can't read men and women, and that her daughter could, and told me I had to nip this behavior in the bud. I often feel talked down to because of my age by other parents at the school, so I just said I'd take care of it and left it there. On Friday, her daughter was handing out birthday invites and gave one to Jonah, not Jude. They both asked her why, and she said her mom said not to give him one and wouldn't tell her why. Jude cried the whole day and wouldn't tell anyone why, because he didn't want to be a tattletale. I asked Jude if anything else happened between the two of them, and he promised me it didn't, and said that they've even been playing together at recess this whole last week, and her daughter was trying to cheer him up by suggesting ways to sneak him in. I'm honestly livid. I wouldn't care if she had given neither of them an invite, but giving one twin and not the other is incredibly rude and passive-aggressive. I'm considering calling her and talking about it because I think holding this much of a grudge against a kindergartner is ridiculous. Would that make me an idiot? Should I just decline Jonah's invite? I think the birthday rule is silly, and it's her choice who she invites, but this is just ridiculous. Not the idiot, but I wouldn't bother. You know why he wasn't invited, and while it's cruel to exclude him for something he did by accident, don't escalate it further. Decline the invite and just let it be. I think it would be even more uncomfortable for the kids involved, since it seems like this lady's already involving her daughter by forcing her to leave out one twin. Agreed. Don't call this woman. She's getting off on bullying a little boy and his mother because he made a very common mistake a lot of children make. Decline and do not gift. Cut off giving her invites. The mom will fade into the background. I'd also point out that there's no way an adult doesn't know how to lock a door, and someone should nip her behavior in the bud. That's exactly what I was thinking. The kid made a mistake, but so did she. He apologized for his mistake, but she didn't. How bizarre is this woman's behavior? OP, don't let one twin go and not the other. Tell them that the girl's mom is being mean to them both because she only wants one to go. Instead, take them out on the day of the party. Go to a fun place they enjoy, or take them to the park or to get pizza. The only thing talking to that woman will do is take years off your life and put you in the same bracket as her. I, 45 male, have a daughter, teen, a son, young teen, and another son, tween. 2 years ago, I gifted my eldest daughter a MacBook as a birthday present. She's had it since, took extremely good care of it, and loved the gift. In fact, I could go resell it as new if I wanted to. So what happened was on Friday, my daughter brought the laptop to school. She uses that instead of the Chromebook, and some idiot threw her backpack, so the screen is basically done. My daughter was extremely upset when she told me this, and even I was upset at what happened. I didn't punish her for it, knowing it wasn't her fault. I told my wife about it, as well as telling her I was considering buying her a new one. I say considering, but I'd really already made up my mind, and my wife said I shouldn't because it would be a lesson and that maybe next year she could get a new one. I told her that her reasoning wasn't very fair, since my daughter made sure that the computer was taken care of. So the next day, today, my daughter and I went to the store. I bought her a new one and reassured her that it wasn't her fault. And when my wife found out, she was pretty annoyed with me for doing that. I don't think I'm in the wrong at all. So am I the idiot? Edit. We have talked to the parents. They have hopefully punished him, made him apologize, etc. They were just as disappointed as my daughter. We're not making them pay, though. I don't understand why you aren't holding the kid who broke the MacBook by throwing a backpack responsible. I'd say not the idiot for getting your daughter a new one, but you are the idiot for not holding the responsible party and their parents accountable and recouping your money that way. I'm curious why they wouldn't replace the screen instead of buying an entirely new computer. Even without Apple Care, it's significantly less than buying a new laptop. There was really no reason to do that, and the other parents absolutely should have at least helped to pay. Maybe the OP's well off, and the parents of the kid who did this are dirt poor, and he doesn't want their kids to go hungry or the rent not paid because he insists on them paying for it. You don't really know the circumstances and shouldn't assume that he hasn't made a well-thought-out decision. Stuff happens. MacBooks are expensive, and I'm not going to beggar another family over a teenager's stupid mistake. You are the idiot. Your daughter shouldn't be taking a $1,700 laptop to school. It's entirely predictable that it would be damaged there. Let her use it at home and use a Chromebook at school like everyone else. Large financial purchases, especially when they relate to one of your children, should be agreed upon by both parents. You don't get to make these kinds of parenting decisions arbitrarily on your own. Why didn't you press your wife more on why she thinks it's a lesson for your daughter? Why didn't you talk more to come to an agreement on what to do? I'm going to take a wild guess that OP thinks money solves everything and the wife doesn't. He didn't try to see if it could be repaired, just immediately gave her a new one, didn't discourage her from taking expensive hardware to school, and instead using what's provided, and doesn't seem to care much if the other kid is punished or even why he threw the bag. I bet this runs way deeper than this one story. Over the past 3 months, my husband's sister has stayed with us until she got back on her feet. As part of her contribution to our household, she generously offered to babysit our kids, including our toddler son with autism and with both delayed speech and language, without expecting any compensation. However, about 3 weeks ago, while she was babysitting, our son slipped out of the front door without her awareness, wandering around for approximately half an hour before a concerned individual alerted the police. Rather than immediately notifying my husband and me about the situation, she spent an hour searching the neighborhood before involving law enforcement. We only became aware of our son's disappearance after she had already found out that the police had picked him up and safely returned him home. There's uncertainty regarding whether she should have informed us if the police had not explicitly instructed her to do so. In the aftermath, I asked her to leave our home. My husband believes my decision to kick her out was overly severe, labeling it as an honest mistake that could happen to anyone. He also emphasizes her lack of alternative living arrangements, arguing that it's unjust to leave her with nowhere else to go. She put my son's safety at risk and broke my trust, and I can't get over that, but I can't shake what my husband said. Now I feel terrible about putting her on the street. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. An honest mistake? Initially, yes. Kids can be slippery little devils. The big mistake was not calling you, spinning her wheels searching for an hour, then hearing that the police thankfully had him. And when was she going to call you? Has she even apologized? It doesn't sound like it. She's staying with you to get back on her feet, so she's an adult. This isn't some 19-year-old being an idiot. She should have known better, and since she doesn't, no, she cannot be relied upon and deserves banishment. Right? After 10 minutes of not being able to find him, I know kids, they're definitely slippery. She should have called the parents. I taught children with special needs and specialized in autism. If I would have lost a student and not noticed for half an hour, I would have been fired. Yes, children can be escape artists, but if your job is to watch them, then that's what you should do. I would 1000% kick her out, hard times or not. Your son could have been seriously injured or worse. Your husband's not taking it seriously enough. Yeah, but I'm assuming you had training of some kind. OP's sister-in-law is just a person trying to get their life back together. Tying the privilege of staying in her house to sister-in-law's ability to take care of an autistic toddler is really crappy. The vast majority of entry-level jobs would be a much easier task. And I would imagine such a dynamic comes with a lot of pressure. Sister-in-law did agree to it, so she's definitely not blameless. But I strongly feel that sister-in-law felt compelled to offer. Everyone's the idiot here. She for obvious reasons of neglecting your child under her care and her hesitation in informing you. You for turning out a family member who made a very real but, in the end, forgivable error in judgment, where thankfully nobody ended up hurt. However, it's understandable that you wouldn't want to trust them with your children again.